Hey guys, Toxic here. This is Talking with Toxic, this week featuring Seb.
Hello.
This is the, pilot episode of this show. Basically, it's gonna kind of be like Toxic Talks, but instead of small little chunks about what I want to talk about, it's what I want to talk about and what any other ally wants to talk about. So today, mostly because I've only talked to Seb, we got Seb on to talk. But next week or week after or whatever, we may have other people, and it's basically just kind of whatever we want to talk about in geeky gaming, and maybe even stuff that we've posted, whatnot. Yeah. So one of the big things that I wanted to talk about is Eternal Crusade, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later. I think we'll just start off with something easy. I've been playing, obviously, like, this is the season of video games right now. Like, I mean, this is, like, the time.
Season.
Yeah. I know I've recently got Far Cry, GTA on the Xbox One, the new Warcraft. It was pretty crazy. Seb, what new games have you recently got?
GTA, obviously Mordor's a little bit older now. Got hands on most of the other new ones just to have a little fiddle with them, and obviously everything up to, but not the newest Warcraft. But I still need to actually play that.
I even think that Heartless was contacting me today to see if I would be interested in Disney Infinity. I think there's like a demo for that or something. So, and I know that's not like a new thing, but I think it's like on PC now, or at least it's on Steam now.
Okay.
So that's another something interesting. But I've been playing a lot of Far Cry 4. Was big into Far Cry 3, loved it, absolutely amazing game. Still my favorite game of that year, if not my favorite game, one of my favorite games. Played 1, not so great. Oh, it was good, but I didn't really like it as much. 2, not as good, but they were starting to find their kind of, it felt to me as if they were starting to find their feet on what they wanted the series to be like.
Which is nothing like 1, which is really odd.
It's similar in the sense of, like, you're a dude that gets put into this situation, now deal with it, like, yeah. But it's a lot different. Like, 3 and 4, you're now just regular dudes. Like, you're not, like, used to be a mercenary or anything like that. You're just, like, a guy. Like, basically an American guy thrown into this, like, environment that you know squat about, and now you gotta kill people and do stuff and save people, and I really like it. It's a little unrealistic, I guess. You have no experience in probably even firing a gun, and now you're saving the area from you're doing, like, basically an uprising. Anyway, like, 4, I really like it because it basically follows the same gameplay. You can be stealthy, you can run and gun, basically what you want to do. Get in there and have some fun. Story, not as good. The villain, absolutely fantastic. They do a great job with their villains. But the big step up is that they actually had real co-op. Sandbox co-op instead of just the, linear pathway kind of missions. Sandbox co-op. You can't do it with the campaign, but you can basically do anything else. And me and Savage have been getting into that a lot. We've unlocked everything on the map that we can at this point, and it's just been real fun. It's I think it's definitely one to pick up if you're looking for a first-person game, but also, like, kind of not like a Call of Duty, how they, like, a linear kind of progression, I guess. Like, if you're looking for, like, more of a sandbox, fight your way kind of game, definitely worth it. I really want to play the multiplayer as well. The way that it looks like it's set up is that one team only uses bows, but they can go invisible, and they can, like, have, like, pet animals and stuff, like tigers and things, and then the other team just gets full access to, like, an armory, basically. So I would really like to play that.
Sounds bonkers.
Yeah, like, kind of that no team it's not balanced in a way, I guess. Like, I mean, which I think would be great. But yeah, I mean, you haven't played it yet, have you? Nor you haven't played any of the Far Cry.
No, I've played a little bit of 2, and I've definitely been keeping an eye on some of the videos and things. Definitely looks interesting. I just wanted to ask, like, when you say sandbox, how sandbox are we talking? Like, is it just the multiplayer, or is the...
In comparison to a game that's sandbox, it'd be closer to like a GTA sandbox.
Okay, yeah.
So like you have your map. It's basically exactly the same, but I can't even say but first person now. But it's basically the same because you have your map, and then your missions are just the person's initial on the map. You know, you go there, you get your mission. I don't even. Is that how they did it in the newest one, 5? It was just like the initial on the map, and you went to that to get the mission. Yeah.
Yeah. You just go
Well,
to
it's
so you can go wherever you want, but to actually carry on the sort of progression of the story, you have to go to the actual person appropriately.
yeah. To progress the story, you need to go to that person, and the only limitation is that at the start of the game, you're in the south of Kyrat, and the north is kind of locked off, story-wise. You know, it's more fortified or whatever, and you actually have to do a mission that opens up that part of the map. So it's kind of like the older GTAs where it was locked off, like the bridge would have been like blown up or something like that.
There's been an accident, and
Yeah.
all this stuff you can't get to.
Yeah, unless you put on the flying cheat, turn your cannon on your tank backwards, and start shooting yourself over the.
Oh, gamers will always find a way.
That's what I think I was Grand Theft Auto 3. Yeah, you put on like the flying car cheat, and then you spawn a tank, and then you just turn your turret around and you keep shooting it, and you just start taking off into the air and you make it across.
It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
But yeah, it's basically like that. It's very similar to a GTA sandbox, but it's. I mean, it is like it. Like, you know, you can drive around or you can fly. You can get into like gyrocopters, which are pretty cool. Or you got your wingsuit, so you just jump off a cliff and then wingsuit. There's hang gliders and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things that you can travel around with. It's just a lot of fun. I think it's one of the most satisfying. When you kill someone in that game, it's very satisfying. Like, you kill people in basically every game. Like, I mean,
Even FIFA.
Like, you know, it's but this, it's just, there's something about it, you know, going in stealthy with your bow, and, you know, popping a god, like, I don't know, it's just, it feels weighty. I don't know if that, like, really makes, you know, it has a different feeling. You know, like, you play too much GTA, you know, killing someone is like nothing.
Especially when you got your boyfriend in the background. But this is something I want to ask. That how does it compare to, say, like, obviously with a bow, Tomb Raider comes to mind because we just picked up the definitive edition because it was ridiculously cheap on Xbox One. But also Skyrim and like close combat, because you got I've seen the advert many times where he's got the massive machete and he's kind of facing the like white tiger.
Mm-hmm.
How
close combat, not like that. It's more of a Call of Duty for the most part.
Okay.
Where it's like pressing your stick and you go, whoosh, you know, and
okay, yeah.
But there are parts in the game where your equipment gets lost, so you only have a melee weapon, and it kind of changes it up a little bit.
Okay.
The takedowns get pretty cool though. Like when you, because you can upgrade your character, kind of like a skill tree progression, and you can upgrade your takedown. So you can upgrade it so you sneak up behind a guy, you like slit his throat, you grab a knife from his gear, and then you throw it at another guy in the room, or like you sneak up behind a guy, you take him out, then you grab his sidearm and take out the other people in the room. Or you can chain takedown, so you take out a guy, then you press like one of the sticks towards the next guy you want to take out, then you take out him, and so you just go into a room and you're just like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It's pretty cool. The one thing I don't like about this game is that the progression doesn't feel as solidified. I don't know if that's the right word, but into the story. It doesn't feel as connected into the story. Whereas like in 3, your character got like tattoos on his arm when he upgraded his skills. So like when you got an upgrade, he got like a little tattoo. So by the end of the game, you had like a full tribal sleeve. And this is just like, oh, you upgrade your character. You know, like, it's like a small thing like that. Like, when you could actually see it physically changing the character, it felt more like your character was coming, you know, was like this, like, Southern Californian, like, kid, absolutely, like, just, you know, doesn't know anything about the world kind of thing, and then he's thrown into this mess, and you can see him changing as, like, a character, going from this, like, guy that would, like, throw up at the sight of blood, or when he killed a guy, to actually becoming this killer. In this game, it feels like you're basically already like that. That character progression isn't as good.
Okay, I'm kind of glad you qualified that, because I was just making sure you weren't saying that basically by getting a tribal tattoo you become hardcore.
No.
Does that apply in real life?
No, well, it made sense in Far Cry 3 because it was that tropical kind of tribal, like you were fighting for the natives, so like you were becoming a warrior, you know, like so like you're getting this warrior tattoo.
Yeah.
But in this, you're just kind of like getting skills, and there's no like in the Far Cry 3, the first guy you kill, your character basically like dry reaches because he just killed the guy. Like, you can't believe it. He just killed the guy. In this, it's like you already start off and you're just like, bam, killed you, you know, and your character, it doesn't, there's no like, yeah, I haven't finished the game yet, so I mean, I can't really, I'm not going to judge it too much, but I don't like the story already just because the character to me isn't as, the character in the Far Cry 3, like, he was really annoying, but he changed. Like, he started off just being this like arrogant kid, but he changed, you know. It's like, this is just some guy.
The kind of like Bilbo kind of journey sort of thing. Like, they can be annoying, but they become inured and they endure their kind of hardships, and it makes them a different person.
Yeah, and this guy just is a voice behind the camera, basically, to me. Like, you're meant to have this whole thing about, you know, getting, and this isn't spoiling a game, I don't think, because it's right at the start. You gotta get your mom's ashes, you know, you're returning them to her home country, and you know, you're meant to feel like, I need to do this for my mom, and like I said before, and I'm sorry, Mom, you're not going to be watching this, but I'm sorry, if you want me to return your ashes to a country where people start shooting at me as soon as I cross the border, I'll just throw your ashes out of the bus and get out of there.
Just send them by airmail, be fine.
Who would stay? Like, granted, like, my mom's from New Zealand, so there's probably a decent chance like that's not going to happen, you know. But if it did,
we get pelted by Kiwis.
If I rock up and like someone starts shooting at me or trying to kill me, I'm not gonna fight across the country to spread her ashes or get her ashes to the point that she wants me to.
Oh,
I go, this is far enough,
not
and
as
then leave.
devoted as the guy from Far Cry. That's clearly the answer.
Maybe, but I mean, I would like to see anyone that would do that for. I mean, I'm like, I'm sorry. Here you go.
Well, while you're on that, do you want to talk about the odd? I don't know. Is it a cheat? Is it an exploit? I don't know.
It's nothing really. It's part of the game. I mean,
so it's sort of an Easter egg, I suppose.
Yeah, if you stay for 15 minutes at the start of the game, when Pagan Min, he invites you into his house, basically. I mean, kind of spoilers, but not really. It's at the start of the game. I mean, you basically haven't done anything yet. But basically, he goes away, and he says, you know, enjoy your crab rangoon, or whatever it was called, and now's your chance to escape, basically. But apparently, if you stay there for 15 minutes, he comes back, and he's like, you know, I'm glad you stayed, blah, 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 and he takes you basically to the end of the game, and you see the end of the game, more or less, like. So, and knowing that made it worse for me. So I'm sorry if I just ruined it for people, but knowing that made it kind of worse, because I kind of felt like I was the dick the whole time. Like, I just, like,
you were being rude.
Like he wasn't going to do anything to me, and I just escaped his house. Now I'm killing his men, overthrowing his regime. And it's like, he would have just taken me to that spot, and I would have just been home, and I wouldn't have to get shot at. But
see, now I feel bad, because the biggest question in my mind is, do you still get a decent amount of G for that? Do you still get the achievements?
The game, actually, speaking of achievements, it has some pretty good achievements in there. It's It has some nice achievements, and just the average stuff, but they're kind of fun to get. I mean, I think like a lot of games like have achievements in there where they kind of feel stupid. It's like, oh, I got an achievement for doing that, but this is kind of like, kill 2 enemies with 1 sniper shot. It's like basic achievements, but they're satisfying.
Yes, achievements should have some kind of challenge to them. Some of them. That's awesome. That's one of the last thing I wanted to ask you about this is so you already mentioned GTA, and I'm sure we're going to talk a bit more about GTA in a bit. But how does the sort of the wingsuiting and the general kind of the fun getting about kind of just roaming stuff, how does that compare?
It's honestly it's interesting because the wingsuit is a little, I'm not sure if it's buggy or if me and Savage just are trying to jump off like things that shouldn't be wingsuited off, because like about 30% of the time we just fall on our face because we're like wingsuit and then we die, and it's like or like you wingsuit and you hit a tree. Granted, like, you're not meant to get the wingsuit story-wise until Act 2, but you can buy it sooner. So we're probably using it incorrectly at some points. The wingsuit's amazing, if you get it right.
I just have this image of you just of anything, like a curb.
Basically, if we're on a slope, if we're on a hill, we'll try and jump in wingsuit. Because sometimes you can get it, and you can just skim along the ground. Yeah, basically that's what we do. The gyrocopters are kind of cool. It's a little frustrating to go for a long distance because you don't have like a super fast plane or anything. I don't think you're meant to travel for a fast distance because you can quick travel to your bases. But also it's just kind of fun to just roam. Like a lot of the times we just walk. And you're just going through the trees, and like a rhino will come out of nowhere and like charge you down. We've been walking to missions and we've just died by a rhino. And that's just the fun part about the co-op, is that we spent hours just hunting, just getting the materials we needed for crafting. Like finding ways to, because you get double crafting materials if you kill it with like a crossbow or a bow. But you try killing a fucking rhino with a crossbow or a bow. Like, so all we do is basically we drive up with like a boat with a machine gun on it and just destroy it that way. But what we would do,
ethical hunting.
Well, we've tried different things. We've tried throwing Molotovs at them and then shooting them with shotguns. It got to the point where we would just shoot them, run into the water where they wouldn't go, then run out of the water and shoot them. Because the rhino will F you up. The worst part is that the first rhino I saw didn't attack me, so I thought they were just like friendly. So we rock up and we're like, oh look, it's a rhino, and we're like, rhino, and then all of a sudden it just knocks Savage to the ground, charges me, he gets into the car, it turns around, crushes the car, and it comes back and kills me, and we're like, what the hell is going on?
I thought you were saying the rhino got in the car.
No, he got in the car, and then the rhino flipped the car.
You're not aware of how rhinos kind of act in the wild?
No, I've only seen them
friendly horned cat. Oh.
I've only seen them in like the zoo, and they just kind of stand around.
They don't let you get in with them, though, do they?
No, but I didn't know like that they would attack you for no reason. If I'm just walking by, if I went out in the wilderness right now and saw a rhino, obviously I wouldn't, because I'm in Oregon. But like, if I went out there and saw a rhino right now, I wouldn't expect it to charge me down. I'd be cautious, but I would. I don't know. I just can't see a rhino. Doesn't eat meat, right? It eats like is a herbivore. I don't know if I'm guessing that they are. So I wouldn't expect them to be overly aggressive.
They're fiercely territorial, I believe. Okay.
Oh well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I drive,
the massive spike on the head to like take people out. But we digest a little bit.
Well, before we stop talking about rhinos. Best way that I was hunting rhinos was I was riding an elephant with a shotgun shooting at a rhino. So I was chasing the rhino and just shooting at it from the back of my elephant.
Oh.
Then it charged my elephant and my elephant died.
So does the actual the animals and things does it feel like actually alive, like the way you're wandering around, things jumping out at you and going hunting?
It does to a point. And then it also kind of feels a little scripted because the animation is the same. So if you get attacked by a bird, you're like, holy shit, I got attacked by a bird. If it happens, 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, I got attacked by a bird. Every now and then, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty sweet. But if it happens too often, it kind of loses its... The funniest thing is when an eagle picks up a pig, lifts it up into the air, and just drops it. Because Savage went into it and he's like, I really want to see it. And I'm like, oh, there it is! He missed it. I'm like, oh, there it happened again! He's like, he missed it. Third time he saw it.
Right, so you have to be careful for getting yourself knocked out by a flying pig.
I guess it could happen. But, birds will just, fly down and peck you and fly away, and a snake will just come up and bite you, and you have to worry about... Because, honestly, the animals kill me more than the people. Because they're small, they're fast. Honey badgers, tiny little things, will mess you up.
They're evil, though. Honey badgers are the most, aggressive animals known to man, aren't they?
Yeah, I took a lot of, satisfaction in killing, 5 of them to upgrade my stuff, but...
So it's not a necessary game for animal rights advocates.
Depends on your stance, I guess. There's no stores in Karat. You can't go out and just buy an ammo bag. You gotta make it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
In saying that, though, I don't know where all the other troops get theirs from, so...
This is true.
Anyway, I think we should get on to maybe some GDA while we're talking about video games.
Yeah.
Probably not too much to talk about GDA, but GDA came out on Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Still to come out on PC. Looks beautiful. First person mode's a lot of fun. Not so practical. You're not gonna improve your game playing in first person, but it's a lot of fun. The character transfer, quick, painless, easy.
That blew my mind. I really didn't think it was going to be as quick and easy as it actually was. I know it's not particularly intensive, but I was impressed with that.
Yeah, really, the game looks beautiful. Still loads a little bit long, but basically no pop-in. It's good. If you haven't played it already, and you have an Xbox One or a PS4, then you need to get on that and get it. There's no better time than now, or maybe when it's a little bit cheaper. But it's such a good game, and if you haven't played it, playing it on the new consoles, it's gonna be great. And I'm never gonna play the story again because I've already played it, but I would really like to on the new one. I don't know, it'd be good.
Yeah, I'm planning eventually, maybe streaming if I get the chance, but I want to do a whole first-person playthrough. Because first-person mode is awesome. Like you said, it's not the most practical, and it does lead to some hilarious crashes and awkward situations when you're missing jumps and falling off buildings and stuff. But it adds a whole new world, as Aladdin would say. It's crazy.
While streaming is on my mind, and this is not the place to talk about this, but I'm gonna forget it if I don't. The other day we tried to stream Far Cry, but because it's already linked to your Xbox, I couldn't use the same account. So I might have to make a Allies Index toxic for mine, because it wasn't letting me. Which really sucks, because when you're trying to make a following, having multiple accounts is terrible. But if it's posted on Tumblr, if it lets me export it to YouTube, it'll be fine. Because we actually were going to stream Far Cry when we were doing all that crazy stuff, and we couldn't get it working. So I'm just putting that out there. We did try to do something with it, but yeah.
I believe you.
That's the only reason. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why he came online. But yeah, I know. It's like, are you kidding me? Why? But yeah. So we'll figure that out. But I just need to say that while it was on my mind. But yeah, Grand Theft Auto. We also need to stream that because that's kind of fun as well.
Yeah, some crew hijinks.
It's more like Bully Seb.
It's a little bit. Basically, you're having some fun, doing a mission, doing some stuff, and then in between might change some clothes to get into a mood, and then someone will shoot someone, and then both Toast and Savage shoot me 20 times. Or run me over multiple times. And again, first person mode comes into play here quite nice, because it's quite entertaining to see the world flying around as you're being buffeted about underneath the wheels of a Humvee or something.
I made a post not too long ago that was like, I think it was like Grand Theft Auto Online, like, oh, what a sandbox. I still agree with that, that it's, like, I mean, I can't think of any other game where we'll be playing missions and then we'll just go dress up to do something crazy. Like, we're like, oh, let's go to the beach, so let's all dress up in, you know, beach clothes, or like, we'll go play tennis, so we'll go put on tennis clothes. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's just, it really, it's kind of like a criminal or like multi-million dollar, like, kind of a millionaire, like, simulator. Like, if you get the money, it's kind of like a rich simulator, like, you know, you got money, do whatever you want. Or like just a criminal simulator. But like you feel like this rich kind of criminal kind of, you know, do what you want.
Scarface, basically.
Yeah. And it's just, well, you can do missions, but you can also just run around and just do whatever you want, basically.
Real criticism, and then I'm over it, and I don't really care anymore. But I was definitely given the impression that there was, when it first came out as an addition to the GTA on 360, it was given the impression that there was going to be a story.
Yeah.
And there isn't. Like, obviously, you meet Gerald, the drug dealer, and you meet Lester, and you meet other characters from the game who will give you missions.
And you get maybe
but there's
one.
No actual...
You get like maybe one like cutscene kind of thing to introduce it, and then after that, there's like nothing.
Yeah, and like you progress through levels and you get harder missions and stuff, but there is no.
There's no story. Yeah.
You don't actually exist. You are your own avataristic rich criminal guy, and that's completely fine because, as you said, oh, what a sandbox.
Yeah,
I just don't expect there to be a story.
Yeah, there's no story. There's missions that have stories for why you're doing it, but it's basically, you have to kind of take the mindset that you are this criminal. You do jobs for a living. Like, that's like, you're not your own criminal organization. You're kind of like a rent-a-crim. Like, or
Yeah.
or like, you're a criminal, but your criminal organization is basically like the go-to guys kind of thing. Like, you're not a criminal mastermind. You just do the job for the criminal mastermind in a way. Like, you're the crew that goes out and gets shit done. And I'm completely fine with that now. I'm a little upset that there's no story, but when I put myself in that mindset to, like, you know, we're going out there to steal this fuel tanker so this guy can sell it, it's like I can get with that. But yeah, don't go in there expecting a story, because there isn't, and there's still no heists.
One day, maybe.
Maybe.
Also, the character creation is awesome, and even if you are transferring a character, you still get the chance to do a lot more, because it was the N360. It was this really clunky who are your grandparents and your parents thing, and you still have that now to a certain extent, but there's a whole smorgasbord of
you
sliders
can,
and change your face and stuff.
You can do that for a quick one, but then you can just completely, you know, that basically gets you your base, and then you play around with it. Not as glitchy as well, I find.
Yeah, it still
Like,
takes a while to get into stuff, but you don't have those times and glitches inside it.
Also, I don't believe your character loses their penis when you log out and log back in. My character was male. I logged out and I came back in the next day and they were a female character. Although, granted, I didn't change it when I had the chance, because this is the other reason why I didn't. I logged out and logged back in. For some reason, my character was a female. I changed all my tattoos so they're more appropriate. I went out and brought a whole bunch of new clothes, you know, and now you get a chance to redo your character when you transfer him. I was like, F that, I'm not buying all those clothes again. So I just adjusted my character's like look, kept the female character, because I did not want to buy more clothes again.
Well, you look cool. You have the whole Alex Voss from Orange is the New Black kind of look going on, which is interesting.
Yep, like I say, my character's classy as fuck. Because it's not necessarily that classy. A lot of the times I'll probably go the most unclassy shit you could wear, but you're an eccentric criminal. What, you know? That's the point.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, on the whole, it's the same game, but it's It's shinier,
spiced
quicker,
up a little bit.
and yeah.
You can get contact lenses for your characters now. You can get bright pink hair. You can, it's the tiny things. It's the small things.
See, Ant, I'm glad you said the small things, and I can't believe I'm saying these words out loud. Definitely wouldn't say them in real life, but in the world, still can't make myself appropriately fat though.
I agree with that because, like, it's Grand Theft Auto. Like, why can't you be like, why can't you do that? That'd be cool. Like that's part of like the fun of like making your character.
Yeah. Although I gotta throw some shout outs to some other games that make me feel good because the biggest character often is quite muscly as well, so it makes me feel feel good. Some games.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So any more game stuff that you want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to just throw out that we've thrown up lots of first impressions and kind of mini reviews on all the sort of games that have been recently, but there's just been so many. I've kind of felt so I had before. I was waiting for Destiny, and I was like, all the games are not fun because I just want Destiny to come out, and then it came out, and it was just really full. But we can maybe talk about that another time. But basically, there is now 1 million games out. And things like Advanced Warfare is really good. Like it's the best, newest COD, but that's all it is with an exosuit, and that's very cool. Assassin's Creed again, it's just new Assassin's Creed, and it's not that amazing. But I'm just overwhelmed now. Shadow of Mordor was the only thing that really came along, and I just played that intensely and didn't talk to anyone for like a week. That was it. That was my entire life.
Me on the other hand, I've been really proud of myself because usually I'll get a new game, I'll play it solidly for a week or two, I'll finish it and be done, and I won't play it. I'm actually been really proud of how I've been doing this set of releases because WoW came out with Worlds of Draenor, which I'll talk about. I'll give it basically a brief rundown now, I guess, but I want to bring Mickey on the show because that's who I've been playing with mostly. But we were there for when it went live. Tons of people. We were playing on an Australian server, and it was like 7 o'clock in Australia. So right when people were coming home from work, and it was like something fierce. And I'm sure like the American servers probably still had more just because of more people. But we got in, we did the intro, and we were just like, "Oh, this is so good! This is so amazing!" Because it didn't feel like an MMO. Wow, it felt really cinematic. We're doing this stuff, and it was just really great. Our minds are just blowing. We're running around doing it together and stuff. And then you get out of the instance area and you get put in the world with everyone else, and then the game just goes, nope, too many people. There's just people everywhere. You can't do anything. It's so laggy. And it was like that for 2 days, basically, before they fixed all the issues. There was they cut down the population of the servers to stop with the lag. So if you could get in, you're fine. But the queues were 4, 5, 6 hour long queues to get in. I would have to wake up as soon as the maintenance stopped, because I was doing maintenance every day. So I would wake up as soon as the maintenance stopped, which is good for me, because for me it's not a bad time. It's 9 in the morning, so it's still bad for me, because I run on Australian time. But in Australia it's 3 in the morning. So I'm waking up, I get online, I get in, but then Michael wakes up and he can't get online because, he's just woken up, it's already a queue. So it was like that for 2 days before we could actually get in and start playing it properly. I've gotten to 100, he's gotten to 100. I'm doing more into the dungeons, he's done more into the PvP, and we're loving it. Favorite expansion to date, but we think it might just be because the other expansions, we didn't get in on the ground floor, basically. We weren't there on the day that it came out. This is the first time we've been able to experience that, and even though it was so laggy once we actually got in, it was a great feeling of being part of the release, because it's like going to a midnight launch, but then everyone just starts playing at the midnight launch. It's like if everyone went to a midnight launch for a game, then just broke out their Xboxes and started playing or whatever. That's what it felt like. Yeah. It was really good. So we've been liking that. We'll talk more about that probably in another episode. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I'm proud of myself because I got these 3 new games. I've been playing well by myself. I play the Far Cry story well, not by myself, but when I have my own time, been playing the Far Cry story when Dana can watch, because she would like, she's not going to play it, but she likes to watch the story. So I've been kind of limiting myself to that, and then I play the co-op when Savage is online. So that's been out for about 2 weeks now, and I haven't finished it, which is huge for me, because usually I'll just rush through it, finish it, and then take it back to the store, basically. So that's been great. Grand Theft Auto, only played a little bit, but I expected that. That was expected. It's more of one of those games where you're going to buy, you're going to use it, but you're going to use it over the next year.
Yeah, that's a game for the long haul.
Yeah. So, and I've just been kind of proud of how, like, because usually it's just not me. I'll play one game, I'll finish it, I'll be done, and I'll just give up on the other. But I've been managing to juggle it nicely, so I'm happy. And I think it's because I didn't go out and just buy a bunch, because I still want the Halo one. I still want the Call of Duty, even though I've never been a Call of Duty fan. I really want to play the story on that one, because, like, Kevin Spacey, but, like, and then...
House of Call of Duty.
Yeah, and then...
Which he actually plays in House of Cards, which blows my mind. He's playing on the PS4, I think, but he is playing Call of Duty,
yep.
Which is just weird.
Yeah, and then, so there's, like, a lot of games I want to get, but I haven't, which is even more crazy, because I could if I wanted to. GameStop credit card! It's terrible. But I need to build up my credit, so I just I put it on that, and I pay it when I get home, so... Plus, you get a heap of GameStop points, so...
Yeah.
Free stuff. But yeah, so that's base...
As I was going to say, you touched on Halo and the Warlords kind of server issues. This is one thing I want to say is, like, please stop releasing games before they're ready. For the love of everything holy to the Covenant and to the people of Earth. Like, Halo, the games are amazing. Halo 2 is genuinely, like, tear-inducing, face-meltingly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could not believe something could be that beautiful. But still, after patch after patch after patch, it's better getting online, but there's still reduced playlists, there's still crazy issues. Like, I left the game, tried to go do something else, and for some reason I had the entire game in my party still.
Yeah, it's... I usually give, like, a little bit, you give a little bit of leeway on the launch, because, but it's like, what are they doing when they do these betas and stuff? I mean, I don't know if Halo did it, but obviously WoW does it, because it's an MMO. You do a beta for an MMO. And WoW has been doing this for 10 years now. This is their, 4th expansion? What are you doing? This 10 years. You've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years, and, like, I don't understand. I mean, obviously, they got up to, like, I think, because they had dropped underneath 10 million subscribers. But when they released that, they got to 10 million subscribers. So the only thing I can think of is that more people came back to the game than they were expecting. Which is a good thing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I still think that you probably could have handled it better. But I mean, 2 days, not so bad.
I do think MMOs, like, you may disagree, but MMOs are one of those games that we're going to have maybe a little bit more sympathy for, because you just don't know how many people are going to be on.
Yeah, exactly, and you have these huge servers that have to hold so many people at a time, whereas other games, it's like, you have a match of, like, 8v8 or, whatever, like, it is now,
and
it's like...
the rest of the time, you're in a lobby, you're not
you don't have the server where everyone is just in it at once, going to one point,
Could you imagine, like, 100,000 people in a Halo game?
Yeah. Trying to capture one flag. Because that's what it was like with Warlords. You have to place this flag in the ground, and everyone's standing around it. You can't click it, and people are sitting on their mounts, like, just on this objective, so you can't click it, and then it's lag, so when you finally get your mouse on where you can click it, you don't click it, because it's lag.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But it's good, it's working now, so... Anyway, let's segue kind of to video games, to Warhammer, and we'll start talking about Eternal Crusade now. Another game that's just... it blows my mind because I'm so excited. And I know Seb doesn't want to get excited about it, but...
I am already.
You have to. You have to be excited. If you're a 40k fan, if you like video games, you have to be excited. And there's people that only play 40k that don't really play video games that get in on this. I like it, and it's great. Like, granted, it isn't in. It's not in. It's in pre-alpha. You can buy founder packages, which, if people don't know, but if a game's not out, a founder package is kind of like an inflated price to the game, but you get a whole bunch of extras. So you get the game, but you're playing a little bit more, so they give you some extras and just stuff to kind of make it worth your money in a way. You usually also get access to the alphas, to the betas, some titles and whatnot. And the money goes to helping the game, because, they're in alpha, and most of the people that do this don't have a publisher, so they rely on that money. So that's kind of where Eternal Crusade's at right now. They're getting close to launching their early access, but basically they've just put out... It's difficult to kind of say where they're at, but I give this company credit. I think it's Behavior. I give them credit because every Friday they do like a Twitch where they show what they're doing, and their whole thing is that they want to be transparent. So when they do a Twitch, they want to show you. Obviously, they still keep stuff secret, but they don't want to say anything about the game that they don't know 100% sure is true and going to be in it. So right now, they've basically showed the Space Marines, the Chaos Space Marines. They've talked about kind of how the game's going to be a bit about. They've said basically, if people haven't seen this game, go to eternalcrusade.com or whatever it's at. You got to do it. Brief kind of story, not story, but what it is. I think they described it as like an RPG, like a PvP action RPG, kind of like PlanetSide 2. To me, I see it as a Star Wars Battlefront style game, but everyone is a player rather than a bunch of NPCs with a couple of players. But on an open scale like PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2 is a first-person shooter, open world kind of game where you 3 factions fighting over the world.
Is this the one that they said they've literally been paying a lot of attention to?
Yeah.
And being inspired by?
Because the way that this is going to work is you have this planet, you have your 4 factions, an NPC faction being the Tyranids. All the battles are going to be player-based. All the leaders from the factions are player-based. And it's basically just PvP. You go and you fight for this world. There's going to be story and stuff. Who do they have writing the story for it?
Was it Dan Abnett?
It's either that or
Aaron Bowden. Aaron Dempsey Bowden, one of the two.
It's
Graham McNeil.
Graham McNeil, yeah.
That's it. It's
They had him on a Twitch the other day as well. Not the other day, like 3 weeks ago. They actually had him on one of the Twitches that they did. So it does have a story, but it's kind of going to be... I guess it's going to change kind of depending on the players. I mean, that's kind of like shitty way of explaining it, and it's kind of tough because like they don't really have much out there. But the best way I can explain it is you're going to make your character. You're going to start as a Space Marine or an Orc. Then you upgrade your character. Although they say the way you upgrade is it's a skill-based game. So if you've been playing for a day, if you've been playing for a year, you can still verse each other. A normal MMO, if you've been playing for a day, if you've been playing for a year, you one-shot the person that's been playing for a day because your stats increase like an RPG, like a tabletop RPG.
Or there's that weird balancing where
Yeah.
if you've been playing for a year, you end up sucking, or if you've been playing for a day, you end up far more powerful than you'd ever been in your life.
Yeah, this way they explain it is it's a pay to not to win, it's a pay to be cool. So the things that if you put money into the game, your character is probably just going to look cooler than a person that doesn't put money into it. It's basically what they say, and it's like they say it's like sideways progression. So it's like your abilities don't get better; they get different.
That's cool.
So you can upgrade your abilities, but it's not an upgrade; it's like a side grade because it's not technically better; it's just different. Obviously, there's no way that it can be that true. Some are just going to be better than others. It's going to happen, but it's also going to.
They'll have their balancing things like a rocket launcher is going to be slow, but it'll do more damage.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
but there's also going to be kind of staples. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be builds that because it works on like a loadout system, similar to actually 40k itself, where you have a certain amount of points to spend on your gear and your it's there's gonna be builds that are gonna be kind of the kind of build. You know what I mean? Like you can't get away from that. There's gonna be some sort of optimized builds, but at the end of the day, it is gonna be preference. Because some people are just gonna play.
There'll be like speedy assault archetypes and like tanky archetypes.
So far, they've showed assault. They've said that the assault can take off his jump pack and put his abilities elsewhere. So you can have your assault, but that basically just means that you're a melee class. Doesn't mean you have to take a jetpack. Your tactical is basically just your two-handed guns. So it's still your melters, your plasmas, you know, stuff like that. Devastators are your heavy weapons. And then they have the Apothecary for the Space Marines, and I believe they have the Psyker for the Chaos Space Marines. I think the Orcs are going to be different. I think most of them are just going to be boys, because that's the free-to-play race, is the Orcs.
We talked about this quite a while ago, but this is a really interesting thing that they're trying to implement.
Yeah. It's a paid game. I think it's like $40 for some characters, and you get access to all the classes, or you can play free and just play as an Orc. Their reasoning being free-to-play player base is a little bit more unruly, like an Orc.
And there could be ridiculous amounts of them. And
yeah, but if you really like Orcs and you want to pay, you're like more like a knob, you know, like. So you can.
Oh, yeah, it's not defined, is it? I forgot about that. That's awesome.
So you can be like that leader of the rabble, and yeah, it's. I mean, we could talk about this. We could do like a whole probably show about talking about this game. But I'm just trying to. What I was just kind of doing is set it up. The main thing I want to talk about is the founder program. If you are going to be going into this founder program, there are different tiers. However, the early access is still first come first serve. So I'm still a little bit confused on how this works. The way that I think it is that if you're at a higher tier, I think I'm like captain, which I believe is like the first to get into the early access, but it's still first come first served. So I don't know if it's you let in the captains, but it's like first come first served in the captains, then you go to the next rank and it's first come first served there. It's still a little confusing. The way that I can read is that there is kind of like a tier system, but it's also still first come first served. So because they didn't want to make it so you had to pay the most amount to get in, that you could still get into it on the smaller amounts.
But the higher you get, the sooner.
Yeah, the sooner you. Yeah. But more importantly, and what I learned more about how the Rogue Trader store is working. Basically, the Rogue Trader store, if you buy a founder pack, you get these Rogue Trader points, and it gets you access to basically cool-looking items. They don't really have much different stats. Like you can get a Power Fist, but it's like a gold relic Power Fist. But you can not get that, wait for the game to come out, and then just get a Power Fist. You know? So, you have your Power Fist. But if you do it now and you use your Rogue Trader points, you got a gold shiny Power Fist. Which, I fucking want a gold shiny Power Fist, so I'm gonna do it now. So, but, the thing that I understand now is that they have, and this is what you gotta be careful of, is that you have to read it now, because they put a lot more information now. If you get a Power Fist, that Power Fist is for the Assault class. You can't have a Tactical Marine with a Power Fist. As far as I can tell, the Power Fist is for the Assault class. But, it doesn't mean that you have to have your jump pack. So, let's say we're in a squad, right? I want to be Sergeant. I want to be a Sergeant with a Power Fist, right? Technically, in 40k, a Sergeant for a Tactical Marine is still a Tactical Marine, right? He just, you don't get an Assault Marine and put him in there. But the way that I see it working is that if you want to look like a Sergeant with your Power Fist and all that, you just pick an Assault, you take your jump pack off you, and you walk around with your friends that are playing Tactical Marines, but you have a power fist and a pistol or whatever, you know. Because also what they just released as well is that how the buffs are going to work is that the sergeants are going to get their little things on their backpacks, you know. Either it's going to be a banner or a little
like Iron Halo.
yeah, like thing,
Yeah.
and then that's going to give like a buff around you, so your squad, if they get in close, because they don't. The way they said it is that in the
So
game, in 40k, you have your coherency rules. They don't want to make it so you get penalized for moving away from your squad. They want to make it so you get like a buff for being close to your squad. They don't want to penalize you from going away, because obviously, like in war, like you could be sent out, you know, further than 2 inches away from your buddy.
Yeah.
But you know, so, like if you have like because they've already put in the stalker bolter, so a tactical marine can have a stalker bolter. So I could be like, Seb, go up there with your stalker bolter, you know, cover us. Seb's not going to get penalized because he's leaving the squad. He's just going to lose his buff.
That seems unrealistic. If you're like, Seb, go run a suicidal charge while someone with who's more accurate takes the stalker bolter. Just because I'm mad, like Larkin.
Yep. The next biggest thing is how they kind of have classes in there, like they've showed what the fallen captain, the possessed, like those guys, the relic master, those, if you look at them now, those will not be your character. They are the fallen captain, for instance, is a hero class that you can use at certain times in the battle, like Star Wars Battlefront. So if you have the resources, you activate that guy, you not your character anymore, you're now that Legion of the Damned. You're now that fallen captain. So all of a sudden you're fighting, you go down, now you can activate him. Oh, now your enemy sees a fallen captain going across the battlefield. You know what I mean? So it's not like your character, so you gotta kind of... I was under the impression that was going to be your character, which I suppose is a little bit stupid, because this makes so much sense now that they've pointed it out. I named my character after Fallen Captain, though. Still, it's an awesome name. Behemoth is an awesome name, so I'm going to keep it. And I still might get the Fallen Captain, but it still made me think about what I actually want to pick for my character, because I was going under the impression that was going to be the class. I love how it's working, that's not the class, so, and I totally get it. It makes so much sense now. And don't worry.
Some confusion.
Yeah, and don't worry if you've picked those things, because the way the Rogue Trader store works is you can dis-equip them from your character. You can drop everything, get your points back, and equip your character again.
So is that going to carry over once the game has started?
No, it's gonna be a certain time before the game releases. They'll give you a warning and basically say this will be the last day. Once the game goes live, that's locked in. Those are what you get. And it's so freaking difficult to choose, because you want to get the heroes, because like I don't know if they're gonna have the Fallen Captain as a thing you can buy once the game goes live. This might be the last time that you can get a Fallen Captain as your hero, right? So I want to get that, but at the same time, I want to equip for my personal character, because that's what I'm going to be doing the majority of the playing as. I think I'm probably gonna.
Definitely a tricky one.
I think I'm probably gonna upgrade my account again, just so I can get more points. I honestly think I'm just gonna get more Rogue Trader points, and it's so crazy because all those upgrades are just basically visual upgrades. That pretty much even said that a bolter is a bolter, but if you get the Night Lord's bolter, it like does the screaming when you shoot it, and it's got lightning bolts on it and stuff. You know, like, so like, yeah, they've put a lot more stuff in there now. They have a Chaos Power Fist that's like got those like really sharp claws, and they even said that the Space Marine one is more about blunt force. The Chaos one is more about penetrating armor.
This is beautiful. This is why I've had to keep myself away from the Rogue Trader store, because I just want it.
You really need to start looking at their Twitch stuff, though. It's really good. They've put some new Twitches out now. They do one Twitch that's like their new stuff, their reveals. They have another one that they've just started doing, which is like mini Twitches. Still lasts an hour, but it's just their footage from them testing the game, because they'll just do tests like 2-on-2 battles and stuff of them just playing the game, and with them like talking about it, that to me that was just as good as them revealing stuff. Is actually just seeing people not showing off like the new stuff, is actually just playing. Like they did this one where they drove up in these 3 predators to take this base, and their goal was to take out the autocannons on the base, because they're like, our idea is that we go up in these predators, we use our predators to take down the autocannons, so then if there was anyone, obviously there wasn't, but like if there was anyone behind us, they could then assault the base without getting torn up by autocannons.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how cool would that be? Like, when you have like, can you imagine like if we have an Allies Index like guild or whatever, and we're like going in trying to assault a base, and we're like, okay, first wave of predators go up, take down the autocannons, now everyone assault it. You're like, it's gonna be amazing.
I cannot wait.
It's gonna be like,
Cannot wait.
yeah. Oh man.
Do you know what the deal is with the vehicles and stuff?
Yeah.
Mention that.
The vehicles are gonna be based on like resources.
Okay.
The resources are gonna be spent by your faction leaders. So for example, if I was a faction leader, I'm like, okay, so this part of the planet we're getting our butts kicked on. We need to start fighting back on that part of the planet. So I go, I'm gonna put resources over there. Seb logs on one day, he's like, okay, I want to play. He's like, I want to go to this area. So he goes over to this area, but I haven't delegated any resources there because I want the fight to happen there. Seb isn't forced to play over there, but if he does play over there, he's going to have more resources. So he's going to have access to his predators, his rhinos, his hero classes, his elite classes. So like the possessed is an elite class, the fallen captain is a hero class. You use the resources to get those. So if there's resources in an area, that's where you go to play with your cool toys. You're not only playing with your cool toys, you're helping your team fight, because that's where your faction leaders want you to fight. Again, all this is just what they've said now. They're in pre-alpha, so it may change, but kind of freaking cool. Oh, also, before I forget, they updated the models. The new models look great, but they've also updated the combat system. Combat system originally was like Space Marine, hack and slashy. They've said that their new combat is more like Dark Souls. So it's more based on your swings, your timing, your blocking. If you do a power attack, your force, your momentum. It's more of that skill-based combat rather than a hack and slash.
Okay, that's cool.
It still looks a little kind of goofy when I see it, but that's just because like pre-alpha, like you can't like, you know what I mean, like. But that's what they said that the combat is going to be, and their goal is to make ranged combat just as effective as melee combat. And I think you can't go wrong there when most of your melee guys are going to have jump packs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you get hit by a las cannon, if you get hit by a bolt gun, you're probably pretty, like, fucked. But if you get past the shots and you land next to someone, they're fucked. Yeah. Anyway, what were you going to say?
These massive battles, like, when you read the books and you play the games, like, there's going to be people dying everywhere, and then those few getting through, it's going to be awesome. But my other question is, with the allocation and the faction leaders, like, so the world is going to be like alive, and there are areas that are going to be taken over by different factions. So like it's going to change.
The way I see it's like
time.
planet side. So on planet side, if you log in right now, you look at a map and you see your faction's area, like territory. You can log in the next day. You might have lost half your territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or you could log in and your side just surged ahead, and yeah, it looks good. They also released a they accidentally leaked part of the alpha, or the early access. First part they released was a map of what it's going to be. It basically looked kind of like a Battlefield style, how like kind of like a Rush, like you have like your checkpoints.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, but they kind of skipped past it really quickly because they weren't meant to show that. The next leak that came out was it's going to be on Steam.
Okay.
Which is good. It's really good because Steam gets them a lot of views. If you're on Steam, and so basically their founder program, their probably what's going to happen, speculation, but probably what's going to happen is that they're going to be early access on Steam, and they're going to have their founder packs for sale on Steam. But everyone else that didn't do it, we're going to get codes to link up on Steam.
Okay, cool. There is going to be a wait.
Yeah. Next thing that they're talking about is that they are looking to get a publisher, so they can have someone backing them. Now, this is awesome because publishers, I know like publishers kind of have a bad light sometimes, but what they did is they basically said to the community, this forum, tell us what publishers you want, which ones you don't want. So they took the community and basically threw out a bunch of publishers that the community didn't want, and went to a bunch of publishers that the community wanted.
That's really cool.
Basically, they're saying that they want to give this game the best chance that they can in publicity and advertising, and it's just, you can do it better with a publisher. But obviously they want to still have their idea and everything. So a little bit scary when you start talking about publishers, because, you know, publishers kind of do have that kind of negative look about they change the games to make money kind of thing. You know, is it going to go from pay to look cool to, pay to win? You've also got to imagine, though, a publisher still does not outrank Games Workshop.
Yeah.
If Games Workshop doesn't like something, the publisher is going to have to do what Games Workshop wants.
You have got to remember that Samurai Dogs versus 40k Cats is a thing that exists, though.
Yeah, but I mean that's just like straight up money grab. You know, if you want to play that game, you play that game. This is a little bit different, considering people are putting hundreds of dollars into the game before it's even being made.
Well, was it? I was just looking up a minute ago. Was it April that they announced that they were fully funded? So they're still been receiving money. So like, yeah, the publisher's going to come along and help put money into the advertising and pushing the game more. But they are paid. They are paid for. So they're not going to be relying on the publisher too much for anything for the game itself.
They also got a $1 million loan from the Canadian government or the Quebec government. I think that's like the same thing, right? But like, yeah, they got basically $1 million loan. Is basically a loan for like entertainment. If you're producing something in Canada and exporting it overseas, that the government will give you a loan, and it's got better interest rates than going to a bank. So that's the thing I like about this company, is that the thing that I don't want to say negative things about Star Citizen, because I put money into that as well. But I feel like this feels a little bit more open with their community. Then again, I'm not so much into the Star Citizen community, so I can't say anything. But I mean, Star Citizen already has
tell you a lot. I don't know how much they communicate with people.
They have a lot of money as well. It feels like I don't know. It feels a little bit different. This behavior, they feel like they're putting themselves on the line as well. Like they're going out and getting a loan from their government, saying that this is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? It's like that's a kind of pretty personal thing to do for your company. You know, it's like, and Twitch streams every Friday, where you have your community feed going and you're talking to them. Again, I'm not in the Star Citizen community and all, but I feel a little bit more distant to that game than I am to this. But that just may be my connection to this one. But yeah, it's I'm just freaking excited, and I again, when a game isn't out and you've already put money into it, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. But I really hope that that's not a thing.
Yeah,
and
I'm just, this is making my head want to explode with excitement. This is kind of one of the reasons I've been burying my head in the sand and ignoring the Twitches. But maybe I need to start watching them, because
and this kind of ties me into my next thing, kind of more into the tabletop Warhammer, and I'm guessing it's probably the last thing to talk about. Seb and I have been talking for months, and we need to get back into 40k because there is no ifs or buts. We dropped out of the game for a while.
Yeah,
and that's no, it's no fault of our own. I can't play in my local area. You can't play in your local area. We got life things, things happen. Yeah. This is my thing that I'm saying now, getting back into 40k is this. I know if we play Eternal Crusade, most likely what's going to happen is we're probably going to be playing Chaos. Because you like Chaos, So you're probably gonna be playing Chaos. You don't have as much points to spend as I do, so your points are probably gonna be going into your Chaos guy. Not to mention, there's a lot of other. I've noticed that Allies Index has a strangely, and I hate to say it, but chaotic following in a way. I notice a lot of Chaos players are either allies or following. I mean, you have Death's Head, a Savage, what Warsmith. Is that one? Yeah.
Boris goes every way, but yeah.
And it's like, and
a vegan wargamer as well.
Yeah, so it's most likely if people are going to be playing, they're probably playing Chaos, and I can accept that. I like the Imperium, and this is the strangest thing. Anything else, I'm all about the villains. Comic books, love Suicide Squad. I love the villains. Star Wars, Sith. I like the villains.
There's no choice between Sith and Jedi. Like, Sith
for some people there are, but yeah. And so it's kind of strange that I'm more with the Imperium when it comes to 40k.
That's because they're bad guys.
But saying this
they're good
now,
bad guys, aren't they?
the Imperium itself is bad, but the people in the Imperium are good.
Okay. Yeah.
They're completely misguided, but they're like guts or glory, like good guys, like the Imperial Guard, just like the working class of Joe that just believes in everything they're told. They're getting absolutely lied to. They're getting sent to their deaths for no reason, basically. But anyway, beside my point, what I'm going to say is that we're probably going to be playing Chaos. I have 4 characters made, but I really don't see in a game like this that you can actually split your characters. You know what I mean? Because if I'm playing Chaos, right? One day I fight, I'm playing Chaos, I clear this fortress, yeah! Then I'm like, I want to play my Space Marine tomorrow. I get on my Space Marine, I'm just ruining the work I did the last day. So we're probably gonna be. We're probably gonna be playing Chaos. I have to accept that, and to pump myself up for playing Chaos, I want to get some Chaos in the actual 40k tabletop. So I spent the last week reading my Chaos Space Marine Codex. Granted, I've played every army already, at least once, so it's not like it's a huge thing, but now, when I don't have as much disposable income to spend on that shit, I do have to kind of focus my attention on one thing rather than the other, and if I'm going to get back into 40k, I'm going to get back into making my own Chaos Renegade warband, just to pump me up for playing Eternal Crusade as a Chaos Space Marine.
But also because we need to get back and playing more for you.
Yeah. But if I'm gonna do it, that's what I'm gonna do, it to tie the two together. Because and man, they say when the Space Marine falls, they fall the hardest. Because and it's hurting me right now to think that out. But the more I read the Chaos Codex, though, the more I can see it, because it's I don't like the idea of just this pure hate, it's difficult. I like the idea of Space Marine that has just, basically Space Marines themselves also get shit on by the Imperium. They do everything, they get nothing. I like the idea of that Space Marine that's just like, fuck it. Why should I listen to you? I am strong, I'm a superhuman. I could crush you with my fingertip, just smush you into the ground. Why should I listen to you? And they just go off and do what they want. I like the idea of that. I don't like the idea so much of divulging into chaos and all that, but I'm getting there. Once I taste the power of chaos, we'll see.
But you're probably not going to go Khorne because they're all just grumpy.
I actually like the idea of Khorne, because a Khorne Lord itself it even says in the Codex that a Khorne Lord themselves keeps their intellect. When they're on the battlefield, though, they become basically a raving berserker.
Yeah.
But the Lord himself is smart, understands everything. The way I'm treating this is I'm not going into it picking one Lord or the other. I'm going to go into it more in the mindset of being someone that's going to chaos, and I'm going to go with who's going to give me the best chance to win, the best chance to slaughter my enemies, you know, if that is Korn, then that's who I will go for. If it's someone else, then that's who I'm gonna go to.
Oh, this might have to be like a series of videos or articles or something. So you're watching your devolution into a full-on Chaos Renegade. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean it's right now. I'm just looking at what I like. I would be going between Korn or Zinch, which is two that don't like each other. But I don't know. I like the idea of being like just bloodthirsty, but I also like the idea of the power of, like the Psyker, and like tuning into that part of Chaos. It's
I'm excited. You didn't mention this earlier, and
I know.
I'm
Yep.
excited now.
Yep. It was that I didn't tell you, and the whole part about the hero classes and the elite classes, just because I know that right now you have the possessed character.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I also want to ask you is, do you think now, thinking about it this way, that your character is not going to be possessed, but every now and then, depending on how they're going to do the resources or whatnot, is that every now and then you'll be able to play that possessed? Do you think you would still keep possessed as your...
I think it's very tempting. Because the thing is, basically you would always be possessed, but you could become the outwardly possessed.
Yeah.
When you go, because like possessed guys I know obviously the models look crazy, but like they look like in the Wordbearers books they look normal until they go like put their vampire face on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the possessed would be sweet. I'm looking forward to that.
I might just keep the Fallen Captain purely because if it is a thing that is only for founders in the Rogue Trader store, if you're looking at this game a year, 2 down the line, still going strong, how many Fallen Captains are you going to see? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how many possessed are you going to see? Like, if you can't get those elsewhere, like, I almost want to get them all just so I have them, because I don't know if they're going to be a thing you know what I mean? Like, are you going to be able to get them? It's, oh man, it's exciting, but it's tough. Like, other than that, I'm definitely getting the Chaos Power Fist. And then I'm also thinking about getting the Korn armor, that like blood armor.
Yeah, nice. I just want to throw it out there because we couldn't really mention there is playable Elder as well.
Yeah,
right.
Playable Elder
and NPC Tyranids.
NPC Tyranids, yeah. Yeah.
So like, if you think like I know obviously that like we've talked about the possessed and the fallen captain, but for the Elder it's even kind of more exciting in a way because I presume you're a general Eldar trooper, and then you will choose your shrine aspect.
I believe the classes for them are basically going to be their aspects, because they've released a weapon called the Dire Sword, which is for Dire Avengers. Yeah, and they've released the heavy Reaper launcher thing.
Okay, yeah.
They haven't released it, but they've put that up in the Rogue Trader store for you to get.
Yes.
So that's a thing. So they're probably going to stick with the similar 4 kind of at the start. They're probably going to go the heavy, the more tactical equivalent, tactical Space Marine equivalent. Maybe a Farseer kind of thing for the support kind of role. Like, they're probably going to go the... So I don't know if they're going to have all of them right at the start, but I don't know, we'll see. So
then you go like elite class, like Archons and...
Yeah, the elite classes that they have already
crazy.
Is the Pathfinder, I believe, and the Autarch, or... I can't remember which one it is.
That's what I meant. Autarch. Archon is Dark Holder.
Yeah.
Silly me.
But it's... Oh man, it's just exciting. I thought I would be more like, just hurry up and bring the game out, but I'm really enjoying just the experience of seeing the game build, and just seeing it get better, seeing them adapt, and I have a feeling that the early access is probably just going to be... this is my kind of speculation right now, is that the early access is going to be one battle, so not open world. It's just going to be one area, and it's just going to be Space Marine versus Chaos Space Marines. Because they have yet to show an in-game Eldar or an in-game Orc. They have yet to show that. But they say they're really close for early access. So I'm going to be going on the assumption that, the first early access is just going to be Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines. But the awesome thing about early access is that once early access comes out, the floodgates are basically open, because now they have a platform to put their new stuff straight into the hands of their players. Like any new updates that happen to it, they can just throw straight in there and you have them, and it just keeps up. Like, that's kind of how the Steam early access works, is that just keeps updating until it's eventually good, and then they release it.
I'm so excited. You got me so excited.
I know.
And you got me excited to pay 40k as well. And we keep talking about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yep. Warband versus Warband. Chaos versus Demons. Something like that.
I'm liking that, and also we've always got Sarah's Dark Angels to throw into the mix as well.
Yep.
I like the idea of, because things we had before, it'd be nice to bring back, not necessarily as regularly, but we had the test drive and things.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to be trying out new models and playing about with those, and seeing how they try out.
Yep. And this show, I'm gonna say definitely is once a week. This one's gone a little bit over than an hour, but that's just because it's the first episode. We've had so much to talk about. But this is kind of a call out to all allies. If you want to, we'll probably get in contact with you as well, or I should say Seb will get in contact with you. If you want to join, just let me know, let Seb know, and you can come on, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Bring a topic to the show, basically. Seb probably going to be here most weeks, if not every week, I would assume. But sometimes, sometimes he won't be. But that's kind of how I've structured it. I should be on myself as a host every week, because this is my Friday night when I get home from work. Come on, do the show for an hour. So it should be more of a permanent thing, and it's for anyone that's. Oh, we did forget about something, but for anyone that's, I don't want to bring too much comparisons, but for anyone that's familiar with Dice Troop, and when we're on Dice Troop, it's going to be similar to the Hammer in that sense, but more of just any kind of topic, but just a show that we can talk for about an hour, and maybe we'll eventually put it on live stream as well. Right now we're just doing a local recording, but we'll see. Seb, to finish us off, we have your models that I'm going to put up on screen now. This picture is kind of small, but you want to talk about these real quick. These are Hobbit figures.
Yeah, so I don't know what to really say. Like, I'm going to be posting up on all the new releases from the weekend as well. But just there's something about these Hobbit models that aren't just not made with the love of the same that has been given to Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. Like, I know they're not as big, not as popular, but it seems to be a giant kind of metaphor for the Hobbit films compared to the Lord of the Rings as well, just not being made with as much love. I mean, I'm not sure what we've got up at the moment, but Bilbo's
it's just
face,
a group shot. You can't really see too much,
shot.
But
okay. But yeah, just that. I don't know. What do you think? That I wouldn't be happy if these were 40k models.
You're right in the detail, but I think what I've always been told, at least, is that the scale is different. In 40k and fantasy, I think they call it like heroic scale. The weapons are bigger than realistically. The poses are bigger than realistically should be.
Okay.
The weapons that they have in 40k, you can't actually hold like an axe that big. And that just doesn't go for Space Marines. Like, it goes for everything. Basically, everything's kind of oversized, more heroic scale. Yeah. This is more of a realistic scale. The weapons are smaller. You see like an axe in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's a small little axe. You look at an axe in 40k, it's a huge an axe. But and that's just the scale is more of a realistic scale. I think unfortunately doing that does take away some sort of quality, and I think you're right that you're not going to get. You look at a plastic HQ for a Space Marine or an Eldar or whatever, and you have these like multi-part plastic kits for one character that have detail. Yeah, there's definitely something that's maybe it's because they're trying to make them look too much like the movie that they can't do that, or.
Well, it's the faces themselves that seem to be the biggest thing, because like they did like armor and stuff looks good and the weapons look good. It's just the faces.
But if you look at the faces on Space Marines, if you look at the faces on anything else, they're very simple. They're very simple.
This is true.
They're just eyes, head, maybe a couple of wrinkles. They're not actually trying to sculpt like someone from a movie or anything, at that small scale.
I think Imperial Guardsmen, like when you see a human face, they look,
You're right.
And again, these are dwarves and hobbits, but
Yeah, but also like an Imperial Guardsman, again, the scale is a little bit different, where the head, the face is, they don't really follow the same proportions. But I definitely do understand, and I'm not saying like that's the best quality they can make, because they could definitely make better quality than that. Definitely.
And I'm not just having a go at like just trying to have a massive go at the Hobbit. Like the Hobbit films have got their moments, and like I love the book of the Hobbit. I love Tolkien stuff. It's just a bit of a bugbear for me, the films. But and I'm not just trying to slag off this game. If I had the time and the money, I'd be more invested to have a look at it. I think one of the big things is. And maybe we'll talk about this a bit more detail in another week. The end times, the Warhammer Fantasy stuff, has just blown my mind, and it's really made me want to play Warhammer Fantasy just because of how beautiful the models are.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, I feel like these models are pushing me away. And these models are better than last week's models. The Mirkwood, the Elves models were even worse, I think, to a serious extent. But yeah, so that's what I kind of just wanted to say. Like, I'm sorry if you're loving them, and I'm sorry to the people that are molding them, but yeah, they're just not quite doing it for me in the same way that the 40k and Warhammer Fantasy stuff is.
Warhammer Fantasy models are by far the best models. By far the best models, if not out there, but in Games Workshop. Fantasy, best models. 40k is the game for me though, but Fantasy is by far the best models that Games Workshop has. There's no doubt. You can't argue that to me. I won't listen to you. Fantasy is the best models in Games Workshop line. Look at their new stuff,
like you to say.
Like the Necromancer guy and the guys that are flying on dragons and whatnot. Like
your depth of knowledge is beautiful.
Yeah.
Nagash.
Yeah.
And the Montags.
You're just lucky that Savage is in here, okay? Because he would have fucking exited the call by now. But the models themselves, and this is the thing, I have lost painting competitions just because I didn't paint a fantasy model, and I straight up said to them, "What can I do to win next time?" And they said, "You did everything right, but you can show off more on a fantasy model than you can on a 40k model. 40k models are nice and smooth and all that." Fantasy have the more texture to them and the more kind of detail.
Yeah, and the end times is just bananas. All of it is just bananas.
Anyway, this is getting long, so we should probably wrap it up. We're probably going to be pushing close to 2 hours soon, so we should definitely wrap this up. Normally going to be about an hour, but yeah. Anyway, this has been Talking with Toxic, this week featuring Seb. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.
Bye.